Polarity. What does it mean? The principle of polarity is very simple. Everything has its own vibration. Everything is set in a certain sequence in terms of its vibration. And polarity talks about vibration in terms of using the higher laws against the lower laws. In other words, if you want to change something, what you have to do is change the vibration. But let's talk about polarity in a different sense. Now, we've already mentioned that every single thought that you have creates a vibration and has its own results in the chain of cause and effect. But let's take a look at it and let's see how exactly what we're talking about in terms of how it affects you. You have thoughts and actions on a day-to-day basis which create these vibrations. These vibrations become part of you. Okay, they are there, and they create what I like to call an overall master vibration. Now, what does that mean? It means this, that we look at our thoughts and we have them and we don't think anything about them at all. And as I said, part of what we're going to try and do is to show you that you have to begin to control your thoughts along with your actions. And actually, when you think about it, the predecessor to any action is the thought to do it. So these vibrations are created. They become part of you, part of your being and your existence. And they help create who you are. So let's say we think about something and we think about it in a negative light. We're worried about something. We're worried about something happening, okay? It's an amazing thing, but what we do is if we have something very positive happen to us, we experience it, we say, gee, isn't that great, and we move on. If we are experiencing something negative, let's say a worry, we dwell on it, we worry about it, and we just feed it. And that's the important word in the key. We feed it. Okay? Now, you know, there was a study done, I think it was the University of Loyola in Chicago many years ago, with something like 90,000 people. And something to the extent of over 90% of the time, the things that people worry about never come about. And again, with all that time and all that energy and all that thought process is wasted in worrying about things. But it's human nature. And it's, you know, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, you know, you should just stop that. Because we both know it's just not that easy. It's not something you can do. However, what you have to realize is when you're doing it, is when I say take control, is to stop. In other words, you find yourself doing something, thinking something, and say, no, wait a minute, no. I want to do away with that. I don't want to, no, I deny that thought. Sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But believe me, it's not. I'm worrying about this, I'm worrying about my job, no, wait a minute, my job is great. The things are going to go this way, they're going to be positive, and everything good is going to happen. If that's meant to happen, it probably will. It's based on a whole score of vibrations that you've created over a long period of time. But the point of all this is that you have now taken and stopped that negative process. And that's something that's difficult. It takes discipline. It's difficult, okay? But you've stopped the process. You're saying, no, I deny this. I'm not going to do it, okay? I'm not going to feed this. I'm not going to have it, through my thoughts, reinforce it or strengthen it, okay? So you're taking positive steps to make sure it goes in the opposite direction. And that's the whole thing, too. Is we look at things as being positive and negative, as being something very good or very bad, okay? we look at them as being opposites when they may in fact not be. Give an example. Hot and cold. Hot and cold are opposites, aren't they? Well, if you get down to the point where you're talking about warm, and you keep getting closer and closer to being cool, that there's not that much difference between the two. So it's really the same thing. It's temperature, but it's a degree of temperature. It's polarity. That difference between the two is somewhere in between, and it's at a certain level, and it's at a certain vibration, and it's polarity. What you think are opposites, all right, are really the same thing, but varying in degree. So when I talk about taking control and denying, what am I really talking about? I'm talking about focusing at one end of that pole. All right? If something is going wrong here, visualize, think about what you need to do to correct it, whether it's on a physical level, a mental level, or a spiritual level. Focus yourself in the opposite direction, okay? And you will find yourself creating vibrations that are going to help you move in that direction. And that will be involved with the principle of rhythm. And we'll talk about that next. But here again, the important issue is taking control.